Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Majesty. This is gonna be a little bit different from my normal videos, because every single episode, every single mission for Majesty 1 was streamed over at twitch.tv/regress. Gotta get that advertisement in. And somehow, for some reason, I lost my my Slay the Mighty Dragon footage. I thought I had it, and I divided it all up into different videos. And I deleted the VOD because I didn't need it anymore because I had all the individual videos, and I uploaded it to YouTube. And I don't have it anymore. So I must somehow have missed it. I don't know. But for completion's sake, I still want to do the game. I still want to do the mission.
Your Majesty, but you must awaken. The day that Julek the prophet spoke of is upon us. The mighty dragon, Vendrel, has awakened from his 1,000-year slumber in the mountains of Doom and is attacking the realm. There is little time. You must recruit forces to find the weapons that will help destroy this threat before the kingdom becomes a scorched, barren waste. Send heroes to find the sword of Byron the Dragon Smiter. This manner of blade is the only known weapon that may cleave Vendrel's hide.
So I'm not gonna sit here and like bullcrap you. I'm not gonna be like, oh, this is the first time that I played this for years, blah blah blah. No. I played it. I played it a while ago. It's just Twitch only saves VODs for a week, and I have a bunch of raw videos on my PC that is taking a bunch of space that I need to go through. And yeah, so I needed to save space, and I must have accidentally deleted it. And now here we are. But I'm gonna do it for you guys. I'm not streaming, which is unfortunate. So the only guild we have is a Temple to Helia. We do not have the means to build any guilds or temples, so we'll have to find and organize the locals, and we have to find the hidden sword site, destroy it, and obtain the magic sword, which we can then use to make Vendrel mortal after we find some dwarves. So let's jump into this. Vendrel himself is not very powerful. I mean, he is. He's very powerful. But he's not very aggressive. He's not very dangerous. He kind of flies around, he'll knock over some buildings, maybe, and then he'll move on. So let's read his lore blurb. Vendrel, the two-headed dragon of Grimspire, is thought to be little more than an ancient myth. The frontier around the Hellfire Mountains, known by the locals as the Mountains of Doom, have been settled for nearly a century. Expeditions into the heart of the mountainous range began in the spring, and the heroes that have undertook that quest have not returned. So once he's done trashing the place, we'll be able to start recruiting heroes. I'm not going to recruit any until he leaves, though, because they'll just get killed by him. So Vendrel himself has excellent magic resistance, so using wizards is not a good idea. You want fighty boys and girls. We have Temple to Helia, so we have ladies too. And I hope that he doesn't destroy my marketplace. Don't destroy my marketplace.
I serve with pleasure.
Okay, so he destroyed my marketplace. That's awkward. I mean, it's fine. We can deal with that. Yeah, and then he flies off and we never see him again. Except all the other times that we see him again. But it's fine. It's fine. We will deal. But I guess at this point, since I'm done with the series, I can kind of give my thoughts on the matter. I really like the first Majesty. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I like the idea behind it, and it does some interesting things. I wish it would do more interesting things, but it's a product of its time. They could only do so much with it. It's an old game, so there's that. At this point, since I'm done with the game, and I'm probably going to make this like the very last video.
Sovereign, your marketplace now
Legendary Heroes was a thing. I spent almost 4 hours hammering out Legendary Heroes. And it's not even one of the hardest missions in the game. Or it's not, like, slated as one of the hardest missions in the game. It's kind of weird, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like the mission itself is not so bad. But the 30-day timer is way too much. It makes me wonder if the level was designed right. It was designed in such a way that it didn't have a timer at first, and then the devs at some point later on, or maybe somebody else involved in the development cycle, was like, hey, this is supposed to be the hardest, what is it? Not master, expert mission that we have. We need to make it harder. Because in a lot of ways it's easy, because you start with high-level heroes. There's a lot of ways that you can cheese the system to get a lot of high-level heroes. The system that I used, where I used an outpost and a embassy to pump out a small army of high-level heroes, pretty much kept me safe. And then you can just slow roll the map pretty easily, I think. But ultimately, like, they put a time limit on it, so you couldn't do that. And on top of that, the enemies that they had on the map made it really difficult to explore. My ranger would go out and explore, and then he'd run into, like, a golem or a big beast or something, and just die. They'd just die. Or run away. They weren't happy campers, we'll say. So that's kind of my thoughts on the map. I'm glad that I didn't edit the footage, because I wanted to show people. I wanted to show
Majesty,
me hammering out the map, because it was hard, and I wanted to show people my thoughts, my thought processes, and my ideas, and especially after I did the map, I went and I looked at, like, other information on how other people beat it, and the method that I came up with was pretty much identical to how other people kind of cheesed the map, for lack of a better word. And thinking about it in retrospect, I was afraid that if, like, I didn't show everything, people would think maybe I, like, looked up how to beat. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. But either way, the idea that I came up with after so long playing that game was basically how people beat the map. And it's basically the only way you can beat the map, unless you get really, really lucky. So yeah, that level was way overtuned for all that it was. Also, we are getting absolutely destroyed by Vendril and his army of harpies right now. That's okay. Eventually he'll get tired and go home. Hopefully he doesn't destroy my blacksmith first.
Your marketplace now serves you better.
But the other missions, like, I mean, Vigil for a Fallen Hero, I actually, in retrospect, I really like that map. It sounds weird, because it's kind of a dumb map. But, also, we're struggling a little bit here. I mean, there's not anything I could do about what's going on. I just kind of have to hope that Vendrel gets bored and leaves.
I know. In the name of the sovereign.
Majesty, the palace is under siege.
Your Majesty.
Vendrel, do you mind? Do you mind going away? Alright. Are you done? Are you happy now? You destroyed my library and my blacksmith. Go home. Nobody likes you, Vendrel. Is Vendrel actually going to beat me? I badmouthed him so much and he's actually going to beat me.
In the name of the sovereign.
No, but like he should actually have... Okay. I was about to say he should actually have left by now.
Nearly empty. Your Highness, if our kingdom is to prosper, it needs more heroes.
But, yeah. Yeah, like, it was kind of a weird map when I was playing it, but since I've had time to, like, reflect on it, I'm like, yeah, that map was actually kind of cool. Having a limited set of heroes and only really being able to support them with markets and blacksmiths and kind of guide them with money was interesting. It was very interesting. And I mentioned before, I'm not really a big fan of using all the Lord spells, the Majesty spells, whatever you want to call them. That's just kind of a personal preference for me. But after you get through the advanced missions, even some of the advanced missions like Fortress of Ixmill, you have to. The game is designed in such a way that you have to use those things. Even though I don't really like to, it's just the way it is. Alright, so I need to start, like, searching for things. Because I need to be ready for the next time Vendrel attacks, or we're just going to get invaded by goblins. That's also a possibility. I can get 1,200 gold. I can use the fire spell. Ideally, the Solari should be able to handle this. So, obviously, like, my favorite missions in the game were ones that gave you the freedom to do whatever you wanted, basically. So, like the Siege, for example, as far as, like, master missions go, or even some of, like, the early beginner missions that just kind of left you chill and take the map at your own pace. Those were the missions that I liked the most. So, as, like, difficult as missions like, say, the Fortress of Ixmill was, or even, like, Elven Treachery. Elven Treachery, I thought I planned out that mission really well, and I thought that, like, the ideas and plans that I had for that map definitely benefited me greatly. But that's not how I like to play them. I like to plan... I don't like to plan stuff. I want to build a warrior guild. I want to build a... I want to get a super high-level wizard. Wizards are a whole other conundrum because I hated on them constantly. And I still kind of hate them, even the high level ones, just because they're so weak. They're so wimpy. It doesn't take much to kill them. Alright, we're gonna build a couple guardhouses. Because it seems like we're gonna be a while. But we're gonna start grinding out some income. Trading posts will be nice. We'll build a guardhouse over here. Sometimes I feel like I don't build enough guardhouses.
Majesty, your trading post now offers healing
But that's
potions.
fine. It's all good. But definitely, like...
Name of the sovereign.
So, I guess the question is eventually going to come up, what's my favorite hero? I don't know if the question's going to come up. It might. The thought just ran through my mind, what's my favorite hero to use? And the answer is obviously going to be the Priestess of Crypta.
In the name of the sovereign.
Paladins are very good, but being very good does not mean that I like to use them, even though I use them in many missions. I use them because they were good, not because I liked them. But I like the thematicism of the Priestess of Crypta. I like the necromancy. I like that their tier 3 building gave reanimate. I enjoyed the skeletal hordes that having a bunch of Priestesses of Crypta can provide.
Your Highness, we've improved
And
the
they're kind of
guardhouse.
like
Your Highness, we've
wizards,
improved the
but they're
guardhouse.
better, for lack of a better way of describing it. Because they're extremely defensive with high-powered magic, which is like a perfect combination. It's very good. Like, obviously they still die a lot because they're wizards, and anything that gets close to them just completely destroys them. But it's fine.
Tax collector. In the name of the sovereign.
That's just something you gotta deal with when you play the game.
Sovereign, the
Wizards.
building has been upgraded.
More gold, your majesty.
Yeah, as I'm sure you folks have probably realized if you've watched the entirety of the series, I have a love-hate relationship with wizards. I don't like how squishy they are.
Empty.
I don't like how easy they are to be killed.
Gold, your majesty.
And it really feels like some of the later missions are designed specifically
Majesty,
to
a
hate
local
wizards.
blacksmith offers new
You'll
services.
have a bunch of enemies and monsters with really high resistances. Like the Medusa. Like, the Medusas aren't good, but they absolutely destroy
Your
wizards.
Highness, we've improved the
Or,
guardhouse.
like,
Your
vampires,
Highness, we've improved
which
the
are
guardhouse.
decent in general, but are also very good at killing wizards. My opinion on things like rangers have soured a bit. Because they fell off dramatically in the later Northern expansion missions. They just did not pull their weight, and they were dying a lot. Because there's a bunch of very powerful monsters, and while rangers have, like, middling health, they don't have a lot of health. And that tends to lead to them being killed. Yeah, I'm gonna build a second marketplace, because I don't really have anything else to do right now. I mean, I can upgrade my blacksmith to level 3, but that's... I mean, it's a thing I can do, I guess. It'll help. Yeah, we'll upgrade it to level 3, it's fine.
In the name of the sovereign.
Obviously, I went with, like, the order for lack of a better word, the Order temples a little bit more often than the Chaos temples. I just find the Chaos, like, other than the Temple of Crypto, because obviously, like, I like the Priestess of Crypto, as I've already said. Other than that, like, that side of the Albion Pantheon just does not, or Ardania Pantheon, just doesn't provide a whole lot. Warriors of Discord have a tendency of dying very quickly. Cultists are alright at high levels and can recruit a bunch of beasts, but if you don't have a bunch of beasts on the map, then they just have a tendency of dying a lot. Meanwhile, on the Order side, you have Temple to Agrella, you have the healers, which are extremely difficult to kill. You have the Temple to Doros with the monks, which I didn't use the monks that much. They're just bullet sponges mostly, but they're okay. And of course, you have the Paladins, which was the big draw and the most powerful hero in the game by bar none. Like, yeah, a high-level wizard could kill a paladin if the paladin was distracted fighting something else. Eh. The siege was probably the worst showing for the paladin, but they also did the most work. Because you had a bunch of high-level paladins that were basically soloing clusters of heroes, but then they would just get focused down by wizards. Which isn't great. I really wish I had a Rangers guild, or literally anything. Oh, we'll build a marketplace. Over here, I guess. As far as, like, the non-humans are concerned, it's the dwarves. It's the dwarves or the elves. Gnomes are silly and they're fun, and they have their place. Especially because I think they actually got a buff in the northern expansion, which I didn't actually, like, mention that much during the game, but, like, I think when they hit level 10, they get, like, vastly improved stats or whatever. But the gnomes, I really thought my gnome strategy on Legendary Heroes was gonna work. That would have been, like, the perfect icing on the cake. But unfortunately, gnomes are still bad. Gnomes still die a lot. And they are not very useful. I tried really hard to make the gnomes work. It just didn't, unfortunately. I wish I could convince one of my heroes to come out and actually, there we go, actually explore the Explore flag. Okay, I'd also like to build a guardhouse out here. I should build a guardhouse back here as well.
Majesty,
there we go. That'll be helpful. Oh, we have a Temple of Lunar with a level 25 adept. That's pretty nice. And a rogues guild that I will proceed to not recruit rogues in. Rogues are another thing. I have strong opinions on rogues. They're okay in beginner and advanced missions, but they really do not do well beyond that. Just kind of the unfortunate reality of the situation. They have two uses. The extort button and poison weapons. That is the extent of their value. They're just not good otherwise. They're worse than Rangers. They have low HP.
An ill wind blows near.
Technically, they can
Sovereign,
steal from
the
you.
building has been upgraded.
I get the idea behind them, but their only real benefit is that they have a ranged attack. And I guess they have high dodge.
Majesty,
Although, keep in mind this is a level
newly
30
discovered
hero.
outpost has agreed to join your kingdom.
And of course you have the Moon and Sun Pantheon as well. The Solari are just better. I don't think that's really a contest. The Adepts are alright. They're decent. They're fast. They have high dodge.
Lord blesses me.
They're very good at patrolling the kingdom because of how fast they are. But they have a tendency of just dying. It is an unfortunate reality to the situation.
Majesty, the palace is under siege.
Name of the
I guess rogues also have the advantage of being able to loot gold out of lairs without destroying the lairs, but I never really felt like that was a...
Your Majesty, a new building
Killed
is
my level
coming.
30 rogue. It's a bad showing roll out pilfer pocket. But yeah, I never really felt that getting the gold out of the lairs was really that valuable to me. So it's not something I had much interest in or much desire to pursue.
Your Majesty, the royal treasury is nearly empty.
And Solari, again,
Your Highness,
much like
the guardhouse.
Priestesses of Crypta, are like the ideal, in my opinion, the ideal version of a spellcaster. They're really defensive with decent attack spells. Solari are kind of my ideal version of a hero. They're pretty alright at fighting. They have magic attacks. Magic abilities for things that have high magic resistance or high melee resistance, and they're receptive to reward flags and protect the kingdom. They're very good. They're very good. Honorable mention to the Temple of Krom. It's just a silly fact. It's just a silly temple. I'm sorry. It's fun to use. And they do alright. They'd be better if they would actually use healing potions, as would be the case with many heroes. But the Rage of Krom is useful for submissions, and that's about the extent of their use as well. Fighters are not good. The Warriors of the Warriors Guild. They're alright,
Sovereign,
but they're not
your
good.
marketplace now serves you better.
Let's see, what else? What else can we talk about? I wish the game had more guild options or options for like an A or B, more A or B options. Like, obviously you have like the Order Chaos guilds, you have the Sun Moon guilds. You have the non-human options. Elves are a necessary evil. But I would like to have more guilds so that I couldn't just build all the guilds on every mission and win the game that way. It's a little bit harder on the more difficult missions because you have limited funds, limited time, so on and so forth. But there's nothing really stopping you from building every guild you want except, you know, the either or things. Because honestly, that is probably the biggest problem with the game, is the lack of variety. You have different challenges in the missions. You know, you can't build Wizard's Guilds, you can't do this, you can't do that. But for the most part, all the missions play the same. You don't have many choices to make. You just build all the guilds you want, build all the heroes you want, and kind of guide them in the right direction. And that's just kind of the unfortunate reality of the game. I would love to have more hero variety, and unfortunately, yeah, Majesty 2 doesn't do any better.
Your trading post now offers healing potions.
Which, I do plan on playing Majesty 2. I don't think I'm going to do it immediately. Like, I don't think I'm going to jump onto the next stream and be like, oh, we're going to do Majesty 2 now. I want to take a little bit of a break from Majesty, but I have the game installed. I've made sure it all worked, because I think Majesty 2 has some interesting ideas. I just think that the execution is a little bit poor, we'll say. But it's been a long time since I played that game too. It's probably around the same time that I played this game last. Probably about 10, 12 years ago. So maybe my opinion has warmed up over the years, although I have my doubts. There hasn't been a Majesty 3. Although I would definitely buy a Majesty 3. I would definitely play a Majesty 3. And more games like it. Like, I like the indirect control. Like, Majesty is definitely not a simulation. Not even close to a simulation. It's an RTS where you don't have control over your heroes, and that makes it difficult sometimes. But I like the personality of the heroes. They all have character. They're all interesting in their own ways. You get to learn, like, what their preferences are with various things. It's fun. It's fun.
Your Highness,
and then on the harder missions, as much as I dislike the aspect of figuring out the best heroes for each mission, that there is some fun in that as well. Being like, okay, well, this mission has a bunch of dragons on it, so building a bunch of Priestess of Crypta would help with that. Like, there is a fun aspect of that as well, don't get me wrong. The troll might destroy my marketplace. That would be unfortunate. I'm not building rogues out of choice, by the way. I'm building them so I can upgrade my palace. Don't get it twisted. I haven't wormed on rogues. They are just awful. They are a ranged attack. That is what rogues are. But I do need them to level up my palace. Seems like I did that at just the right time. But I did feel like I learned a lot about the game. A lot more than I did when I was younger. Because even like the last time I played through the game, I didn't play all of the missions. I played like maybe the beginner and a bunch of the advanced missions. And then I stopped. Because some of the missions are hard. And some of them are unfair, like legendary heroes.
In the name of the sovereign.
And that is something that I will mention about legendary heroes, is the events where monsters spawned around your heroes to attack them is completely stupid. It's like, I am not a fan of legendary heroes for that alone. Like, if you ignore the time limit, if you ignore the barrows, the earthquake mechanics, the fact that you can only have one hero, the fact that monsters spawned around your heroes to attack them, I don't believe that happens on any other mission, and it's stupid. Because that took out, like, a lot of heroes that you could potentially use, because they could not deal with that, like wizards. Wizards could not handle enemies just spawning in around them. They would die. Pretty much every time, regardless of what level they were. It's the only time in the game, period, full stop, that I felt like the game was being explicitly unfair. Like, there are some not... How should I put this? There are parts of the game that feel kind of unfair, like the dragons that spawn on Valley of the Serpents or whatever it was. The one with all the snakes that we had to protect the elves. There is some absurdity with that as well, don't get me wrong. Like, just going, oh, these dragons are gonna spawn at the edge of the map and storm towards your bungalows and ignore everything else. That was stupid. That was stupid. That was unfair. But not to the same extent as what happened with Legendary Heroes, where enemies spawned around your heroes. Now, if it just spawned a bunch of enemies on the map and they charged at your base and they caught your heroes, that would have been fine. It is what it is. But the idea of just a bunch of monsters appearing out of nowhere and attacking you is dumb. It's just very dumb. And I was not happy when I saw that. I don't think I really mentioned it much at the time because I was so focused on trying to complete the mission. But especially in retrospect, that's not good design for a game like this. A game where you kind of try to, I don't want to say be realistic, but kind of be realistic with what you do. You know, monsters need to have an origin point, and if that origin point is the edge of the map, that's fine. Or if that origin point is a lair, that's also fine. But that origin point being just around your heroes is not fine. And I am glad that that's the only mission in the game that had that mechanic. Because I probably would not be looking at the game as warmly as I do today if that was a regular thing. So, we found the magic sword site. This vault contains the legendary blade of Sidrian. Each Sidrian's heroes carried an enchanted sword, making them champions of the realm. Legends tell that these weapons could dispel wards of invulnerability. So this is what we need to destroy, but I want to see what's over here first. Because if it's more guilds, I want them. I want them in my life. Another thing that I'm not a big fan of, mausoleums, the ability to resurrect your heroes after they died. That is a mechanic that, spoiler warning, does make a return in Majesty 2. And I'm just as much not a fan of it there as I am in this game. I think your hero death should have consequences. And being able to annul those consequences by throwing money at the problem is not the correct answer. And that also goes for, like, that's also why I don't like using the Lord spells, or whatever you want to call them. Because, again, it just kind of feels like you can throw a bunch of money at the problem, and it will go away. And indeed, there were a lot of times where I did throw a bunch of money at the problem to eventually make it go away. Because that's how they wanted the game to be played. And I certainly don't begrudge players for playing it that way. It's just not, it's not how I would have wanted to play the game. I enjoy the indirect control aspect. Is there another guild in here somewhere? Is there another guild in here somewhere? Probably. I can't imagine that there's just a random house in the middle of nowhere.
Majesty, A newly discovered
But maybe there
outpost
is.
has agreed to join your kingdom.
Who knows? Alright, let's build a royal garden. And we'll also pop an inn out here. Why not?
Majesty, a newly discovered outpost has agreed
There we go.
to
Temple
join
to
your
Agrella. Excellent.
I can outrun the winds.
You've destroyed the hidden sword site. Send heroes to retrieve the sword. Excellent. Your heroes obtained the magic sword. However, a magic sword isn't going to get you very far against a terribly powerful enemy. Perhaps the dwarves can help you. Alright, so now we have to find some dwarves. I'm sure that won't be a problem.
Your Majesty, a new building is complete.
Beast approaches.
Blessings to the Phoenix!
Your Majesty, a new building is complete.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done recruiting rogues. They're just gonna die.
A newly discovered outpost has agreed to join your kingdom.
Oh wait, we can just build a dwarven settlement? I thought we had to find it.
Majesty.
Okay, well that makes life significantly easier. Just build a bunch of dwarven settlements. Why not? I actually thought we had to find dwarves on the map. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Also, I'm just gonna say it, dwarves are way overtuned. Dwarves are very good in this game. Their ballista towers are absolutely busted. It's the fact that their cost doesn't increase. I understand why costs increase, because they don't want you to spam out one thing forever and ever. I can only imagine, like, spamming out a million paladins for some of these missions. But I don't understand why things like ballista towers and things of that nature do not increase in cost, because it makes ballista towers and wizards towers so powerful in a lot of ways. Especially ballista towers, because it's a defensive building. And we made a lot of use of that. The ballista towers, especially later on. I guess not so much until later on. But later on, we, ballista towers are very good. And dwarven settlements, which count as, like, a stronger ballista tower with dwarven defenders, is also very good. Even if the dwarves do nothing else, they're still very tanky combatants.
Your Majesty, a new building is complete.
Alright, the dwarves have duplicated the sword, and now Vendril has spawned with a bunch of dragons. Yeah.
Majesty, a newly discovered outpost has agreed to join your kingdom. Your Majesty, a new building is complete. Your Majesty, a new building is complete.
And that's okay, because we have
Your Highness,
dwarven settlements.
We've improved the guardhouse. Majesty,
There's Vendril. He's so scary. So scary and angry.
My service ends. My service ends. No bitch in this. My service ends.
Unfortunately, we have a bunch of powerful heroes.
The wind lord blesses me.
And they're just going to teach Vendril a lesson.
My service ends.
Yeah, I wish more more missions had a clear the map aspect, especially later on. The fact that you can just, like... Legendary Heroes is a good example. The fact that you can brute force an objective and not lose, even though you really should probably lose, is kind of a problem. Well, I get it. I understand. It's just the limits of the game, I suppose. And having to spend all that extra time clearing out everything after you've completed the objective would have been obnoxious, I will admit. Goodbye, Vendril. You have died.
We are victorious, Your Majesty.
We are victorious. All right.
At last, Vendril is dead. Julek's prophecy is complete. Ardania's wisest mind shall unite its strongest bodies, and with magic forged steel, forever rid our skies of the winged death.
Indeed. Indeed. And that's Majesty. A fun game from the 2000s era that I greatly enjoy. And if you've liked this series, leave a like. Or subscribe if you're interested in more gaming from me. I don't like saying that. I don't say that except at the very last video of a series. Because I believe that showing off the game is far more important than whatever my subscriber like count is. But that's it for Majesty. So until next time, happy gaming.